Chapter 11:12. Aha! Yiqing Luo scoffed arrogantly. But she leaned into Dmo Xian's embrace and changed her position. Dmo Xian raised his hand and said in all seriousness, "I swear, I have absolutely no intentions towards her." Yiqing Luo continued to snort and continued to act tsundere. Dmo Xian's eyes were filled with adoration. He loved her delicate look. He couldn't help but lower his head and kiss her red and swollen lips. He pressed his forehead against hers and said in a low voice, "If you don't believe me, you can check my body to see if there are any traces of her." His tone was filled with a naughty smile, and his shimmering peach blossom eyes were also flashing with an evil luster. Yiqing Luo instantly blushed as she gritted her teeth and spat out two words, "No. Use it." Of course she knew that Dmo Xian had no interest in Feng Ling. If she had any thoughts, she wouldn't be the one acting like a tsundere right now. She simply wanted to be tsundere. Who told him to hold Wind Chime's shoulders when they were in the tunnel and even let Wind Chimes hug his waist. His embrace could only belong to her alone. "In my place there's only you." As though he had seen through her thoughts, Dmo Xian narrowed his peach blossom eyes and said in a low voice. That low and hoarse voice sounded extremely serious. His deep, pitch-black eyes stared at her without blinking. Yiqing Luo's little face blushed as she subconsciously lowered her eyes and turned her head away. Her lower jaw was held by his slender fingers, forcing her to meet his gaze. "At that time when she fell, I just helped her up." Dmo Xian patiently explained, "When I was helping her up, I saw you in Zhu Wuxian's arms with your clothes disheveled." He paused for a moment. He felt the little woman in his arms stiffen. The corners of his lips curled into a sinister smile. "At that time, did you think I was still in the mood to pay attention to Xiaoling?" Seeing Yiqing Luo's clothes in a mess, nestled in Zhu Wuxian's arms. It looked so intimate and ambiguous. Even though deep in his heart, he knew that Yiqing Luo and Zhu Wuxian could not possibly have any special relationship. However, when he saw that scene, he still could not suppress the fury in his heart. The wind chimes were not important, so he did not pay attention to them at all. His mind was filled with the scene of Yiqing Luo and Zhu Wuxian hugging intimately. Yiqing Luo still maintained her arrogance as she snorted. It was just a verbal tsundere. However, her actions revealed her current mood. She struggled free from the restraint of his fingers and rubbed her blushed little face against Dmo Xian's chest as her arms wrapped tightly around Dmo Xian's waist. The more Dmo Xian looked at her tsundere look, the happier he was. Yes, his little Luoer's arrogant look only belonged to him alone. Dmo Xian tightened her arms and her petite body was completely plastered onto his body. Between the two of them, there were only 2 layers of clothes that were not too thick. Yiqing Luo's soft chest pressed against his sturdy chest. It was very soft to the touch. Dmo Xian suddenly recalled the last time after the battle in King Ling's tomb, when he helped Yiqing Luo apply medicine. He saw everything about Yiqing Luo. Actually, his little Luo had everything she needed. This size was just enough for him to control with one hand. But the moment he thought of this, his lower abdomen tightened. Dmo Xian's pupils contracted as he increased his strength once again. Ugh! Yiqing Luo moaned in pain as her slender brows creased as her little hand pushed his chest. "Ah Xian, you're hurting me." Her words had just ended when she was pressed onto the red wooden table. The man's scorching hot body was tightly plastered onto hers. Chapter 11:13. Ah Xian. Yiqing Luo's breathing suddenly stopped as her little hand blocked in between the both of them. A rich man's breath encircled Yiqing Luo's body. Her entire body turned soft as her little hand's resistance was totally useless. But moments later, her little hand was restrained by Dmo Xian. The man's hot and wet kiss landed harshly on her lips. Her breath seemed to be sucked away, making her feel numb as though she was electrocuted. Yiqing Luo's petite body was trembling. Even if she had never eaten pork, she had seen a pig run. Moreover, this wasn't the first time Dmo Xian had lost control. She naturally understood what that *** on her abdomen represented. Her cheeks turned even redder from embarrassment. A man's desire really came at the drop of a hat. It was no wonder that people often said that men used their lower body to think about life. This wasn't the first time she stopped Dmo Xian. Yiqing Luo didn't know how long a man could hold it in. She was after all a 21st generation person, and since she had already set her mind on Dmo Xian, she would definitely follow him for the rest of her life. Even if she allowed things to happen and let nature take its course, that was a normal thing. But she retracted her gaze as she hid away her flustered and indulged heart. Her little hand pushed against his chest. At this moment she couldn't let things develop naturally, because her brothers were still sweating and competing in the arena. How could she possibly be at ease with DMO Xian here? Her motive for coming here was to resolve the mutual misunderstanding with DMO Xian. Ah, Xian, calm down. Just as his lips were about to press against hers again, Yiqing Luo opened her mouth and bit his thin lips harshly. DMO Xian loosened his grip as he propped himself up. His eyes were filled with passion as deep as the water. He stared at her as his movements stopped, but his body was still pressing on her in an overbearing manner. With Zhu Wuxian. It's a misunderstanding. Yiqing Luo tried her best to change the topic as her breathing was hurried and her little face was flushed red, not daring to look at him. That soft and charming little voice was trembling. After the deep kiss, it was mixed with a seductive voice. Under DMO Xian's tranquil peach blossom eyes which made one sink into it. Yiqing Luo finally managed to concisely explain how Wolf Saint Method found out about the Thunderclap manual and how he used despicable methods to force her, and how she was saved by Zhu Wuxian. In the end, she looked at him helplessly with her slightly moist eyes. I stuffed them into his arms because I wanted to use his body to gather my clothes first. Who knew that you would be so coincidental and come here at the right time? DMO Xian felt his lower abdomen tightening. His Lil Luo, just by showing such an expression, he could not control his desire. Towards Lil Luo, he seemed to have no self-control at all. He knew the reason why Lil Luo was rejecting him now. Under such circumstances, even if he couldn't restrain himself, he wouldn't go all the way. You really don't know Zhu Wuxian? DMO Xian lowered his head as he followed along with her topic. Yiqing Luo's long eyelashes fluttered. I really don't know him. Qing Luo's character. Zhu. DMO Xian remained silent for a long while before he spoke in a low voice. Even if it's a subordinate who had followed him through life and death for a few years at the critical juncture, he would not hesitate to abandon them. Humans are not plants, how can they be emotionless? Even for him. Facing the 4 protectors who had followed him for many years and risked their lives for him several times. He would at least say a few words of concern. He would never give up their lives. But Zhu Wuxin could. For someone like Zhu Wuxin, there was no one else in his life other than himself. Yet he was so concerned about Yiqing Luo. Chapter 11-14. During the World Mercenary Group's first mission. If it wasn't for Zhu Wuxian, Yiqing Luo wouldn't be able to successfully bring the exquisite pagoda out of Death God Castle. It was totally impossible. Those youngsters from the World Mercenary Group were able to leave unscathed. Zhu Wuxian had intentionally let them pass. Whereas this time round Yiqing Luo was in danger and Zhu Wuxian didn't hesitate to go against the dark forces. Based on Zhu Wuxian's character, how could he possibly harm his own benefits for others? To push himself into a dangerous situation? But Yiqing Luo said that she didn't know Zhu Wuxian. DMO Xian naturally believed Yiqing Luo's words. But he didn't understand that Zhu Wuxian's performance. Apparently he knew Yiqing Luo and there was some past between them. Had Zhu Wuxian recognized the wrong person? Thinking of this, DMO Xian's black eyes slowly narrowed. You don't believe me? Seeing DMO Xian's silence, Yiqing Luo's brows creased as she stared at him unhappily. DMO Xian suddenly held her waist tightly. The other hand, his broad palm, followed along her waist and slowly moved upwards. She could clearly feel the scorching temperature through her thin clothes. 5 fingers covered the loins. A pinch. Yiqing Luo's petite body trembled. He bent down and bit her earlobe. A deep magnetic voice with a hint of anger rang by the side of her ear. You're my woman, if I don't believe you, who should I believe? Yiqing Luo's little hand frantically pressed his hand which was moving around the loins as she spoke in a trembling voice. I'm wrong, I know you believe me. What's wrong? DMO Xian's slender legs slightly exerted force as he pushed open the little woman's tightly shut legs. His thin lips curled upwards, looking devilishly alluring. Yiqing Luo's body froze. If this went on, be careful of the second mishap. If this went on, the one who would suffer would be him. A Xian. Yiqing Luo's gentle voice was extremely soft. Are you sure you want to use this position to talk to me? DMO Xian's brows rose slightly as he gave an evil cold smile. Why? I'm only in charge of stirring up the fire, not in charge of extinguishing it. Yiqing Luo's brows rose as her eyes curved, revealing a teasing look. Indeed, the man on her body stiffened. After several breaths of silence, he stiffly propped himself up and moved away. His face, which had a devilish smile on it, instantly turned ashen. Good. Very good. This was little Luo? She knew how to trick him. Yiqing Luo, who had escaped from Dmo Xian's restraints, swiftly bent her waist and retreated a few steps away from him. She blinked her long curly eyelashes and said, "Xian, the misunderstanding has been explained. It's time to go to the West Lawn Square." He looked as innocent as he could be. Dmo Xian lowered his eyes and looked at the lower abdomen. The indescribable place. The corners of his mouth curled up into a sinister smile. The next moment, Yiqing Luo's body felt light as she fell into Dmo Xian's arms once again. She didn't even have time to react. In her eyes filled with ridicule, Dmo Xian's peerlessly handsome face was magnified. Xian, his aggressive gaze was scorching. That naked gaze seemed to be looking at her naked body. Suddenly he bowed his head. He nibbled on her swollen lips. He bit down hard. Just like how she had bitten him. An obvious bite mark was left. Yiqing Luo cried out in pain as she raised her fist and hammered on his chest. The man released her slender waist at the right time. His half-squinted peach blossom eyes outlined a devilish charming arc. He laughed lightly as he gazed at Yiqing Luo's eyes, which were like glistening gems, its luster bright. His thin lips parted as he said word by word, "I'll owe you this time next time. Extinguish the fire, I'll do it." Chapter 11:15. Fine. This was very beastly. Yiqing Luo admitted defeat. She blushed as she pushed Dmo Xian away and left the room without looking back. Dmo Xian lowered his head as his eyes were filled with adoration. He could only wait for the next time. He had just taken a step and was about to catch up with Yiqing Luo's footsteps to head to the West Continent with her to support the students of Devil class. His footsteps just stepped out of the room. The wind blew and brought along a trace of strange sound. His perceptive power was instantly released. At the same time, Yiqing Luo, who had just walked out of the room, flashed back to Dmo Xian's side. The blush on her face had long faded. Right now her expression was grave as her brows knitted tightly as she looked into Dmo Xian's eyes. From the other party's eyes, she confirmed her own perception. There were people. And there were many of them, and their profound grades were not low. The entire dormitory was filled with an extremely dangerous atmosphere. West Continent Public Square. The Heavenly Academy's interclass competition was still ongoing. The first round of the preliminary round was not for all the students to rush onto the arena. Instead, it was done by drawing lots. Each class would send out 10 people as a team, and according to the results of the drawing lots, the 10-people team would represent their class and compete against the other 10-people team. In other words, the 7 classes would be divided into 7 teams of 10 people. Through drawing lots to decide which class would be matched against which class. The winning team of 10 people would represent their class and enter the next round. In previous years, the Heavenly Academy's interclass competition was 6 classes and 6 teams, which were easy to allocate. This year there was an addition of Devil class. 7 classes, 7 teams of 10 people. Which meant that there was an additional team which could not be allocated to an opponent. For this interclass competition, there were many external forces and representatives from various schools. In order to show his concern for the waste class, the director had instructed Yun Duan. Yun Duan represented the director to express preferential treatment for Devil class. The first round of drawing lots would be a break for Devil class. After the 6 classes had competed, the winning 3 teams of 10 people plus Devil class would draw lots for the showdown. The class which won the last 10-people team could skip the semifinals and enter the finals. Because of this, today's competition was extremely important. Because the competition was divided into 3 days. Within these 3 days they had to participate in the competition every day. How much profound energy would be depleted? Without the miraculous elixirs given by the family, the profound Jade Heart's energy could not be replenished. But, if he won today's match, he would directly enter the finals. This also meant that he did not need to participate in the semifinals tomorrow. This also meant that the class that won today could recuperate and build up their strength, waiting for the finals on the 3rd day. After explaining the rules, Cloud was ready to start. Long Yunzhan took a step forward at this moment. His azure blue eyes looked emotionlessly at Yun Duan. "Elder Yun Duan, I'm Long Yunzhan, the class monitor of the Devil class. On behalf of the Devil class, I sincerely thank the Dean and the Elders for their concern towards the Devil class." Her clear and cold voice spread out with profound energy. Cloud's announcement of the start of the match was swallowed back. He looked at Long Yunzhan and frowned slightly. He didn't understand what the Devil class was trying to do. Yun Xiang's temper flared up as he said unhappily, "Since you're grateful, then be obedient and return to your Devil class's waiting area." Give up the arena to the class that's about to compete. Chapter 11:16. Once he said that, the entire audience was in an uproar. Many powerhouses started to complain about how Devil Class did not know what's good for them. As for Low Profound Class 1 and Intermediate Profound Class 2, there were students who started to complain on the spot. The dean sympathizes with your trashy class, so that you won't have to waste the rare opportunity to participate in the interclass competition. He wants you to stay in this arena a little longer, so he specially gave you special treatment. You actually dare to refuse? Trash class is trash class, even their intelligence is so touching. The crowd was in an uproar. When Xuanhuan heard that, he was stunned for a moment. Maybe he could not understand why Devil Class would reject such a good treatment. Coincidentally, from the direction of Intermediate Profound Class 2, a scornful voice came. What's there to guess? Just based on the looks of Devil Class's trash, they are obviously afraid of receiving special treatment, but in the end they will still be easily defeated, losing all their face. With that said, the students from each class nodded their heads in realization, expressing their agreement. Receiving special treatment but still being defeated by a team that had gone through a competition was utterly defeated. It was indeed quite embarrassing. Student Xuanhuan is still smart, seeing through the nature of Devil Class with one look. Devil Class coming to participate in the interclass competition is already a joke. Seeing them participate in the competition, it's simply making us laugh our teeth off. That's right, if this kind of preferential treatment was given to our class, the ones who could enter the finals today would definitely be our class. In the class there were all kinds of complaints, all kinds of discussions, sparse. Suddenly they heard Long Yunzhan's ice-cold voice, easily suppressing the clamor and clamor. Then I'll give it to your class. A few light words, said without any emotion. That person was stunned, his face full of astonishment. After a while he reacted. Long Yunzhan was answering his own words. This person happened to be one of the students from Low Profound Class 1. You're for real? Low Profound Class 1 naturally wanted this preferential treatment. Other than Devil Class, their class was the worst class in the entire academy. If they had this preferential treatment, entering the semi-finals shouldn't be a problem. At least they wouldn't be eliminated in one match, and at least they could save their face. Long Yunzhan did not reply to that student. Instead, he raised his cold blue eyes and looked at Xuanhuan indifferently. Elder Xuanhuan, thank you for your kindness. I represent the Devil Class and am willing to hand over the preferential treatment given by the academy to that class. His tone was cold and emotionless. However, his attitude was sincere and serious. Xuanhuan looked at the dean. After seeing the dean nod his head slightly, he slowly turned his head. The purpose of the interclass competition is to understand the overall standard of each class and the individual strength of the students. Since this is the Devil Class's own decision, the academy will naturally respect the Devil Class's choice. This preferential treatment will be given to the Low Profound Class 1. After the announcement, the other students had no objections. The competition had officially begun. The first round of drawing lots. Low Profound Class 2 versus War Devil Class. The second round of drawing lots. Intermediate Profound Class 2 against High Profound Class 1. The third round of drawing lots. High Profound Class 2 versus Intermediate Class 1. Looking at the wooden stick in his hand, it matched the wooden stick in Devil Class's hand. The students of Low Profound Class 2 revealed a look of joy. Without Low Profound Class 1 they would be at the bottom of the class. If they were to go against Intermediate Profound Class or High Profound Class, they would definitely lose. But the students of Low Profound Class 2 looked at Devil Class's side. Although they looked to be in high spirits, it was obvious that after standing for so long, the students were swaying. Chapter 11:17. Without Yiqing Luo in the Devil Class they were simply a bunch of trash. They were already trash and yesterday they were ambushed and suffered a serious injury. Today they forced themselves to participate in the competition and it had only been half an hour and they couldn't even stand properly, yet they still wanted to participate in the competition? The students from the Low Profound Class 2 all sneered in disdain. And in the Low Profound Class 2, Tao Zi knitted her brows in worry. The news of Yi Fengyu being kidnapped in the dormitory was known to the entire school. And today Yiqing Luo also disappeared. Was she looking for Yi Fengyu? Or was she kidnapped like Yi Fengyu? This thought flashed past. She shook her head. Impossible. If Yiqing Luo was really kidnapped, the students from Devil Class would not be so calm in the competition. Yiqing Luo, she should have gotten news of Yi Fengyu and rushed over early in the morning. Hopefully. Qing Luo would be safe and come back earlier. Low Profound Class 2's class monitor had already begun to pick 10 students to form a 10-man team. When passing by Tao Tao, the class monitor paused for a moment but still brushed past her. Although they knew that Tao Tao was the group leader of the 3000 Peach Blossom and her ability was considered above average in the Low Profound Class 2. But Tao Tao and Devil Class's Yi Qing Luo's relationship seemed to be not bad. In order to avoid any accidents, the class monitor still didn't choose Tao Tao. The first round of the competition began. All the students returned to the waiting area. Long Yunzhan chose a few students who were below average in the Devil class. 8 boys and 2 girls. And Ruopan and Dan Baishi were among them. The moment the gong was sounded, the Low Profound Class 2's attack was already coming. The Devil class students panicked and screamed. Each of them were like ants on a hot pan, fleeing in all directions. There wasn't any intention to cooperate with their comrades. The entire arena was filled with the Low Profound Class 2 students chasing after them. The Devil class students covered their heads and fled. Wails and screams were heard incessantly. The scene looked extremely lively. It attracted a lot of people below and kept laughing. This situation lasted for about half an incense stick of time. The Low Profound Class 2 students were out of breath from the chase. Some students stopped, pointed at the escaping Devil class students and ridiculed in disdain. A bunch of cowardly turtles. Don't run if you have the ability. Why are you running? Look at your cowards. Still want to participate in the competition? What a disgrace. I thought that with Yi Qing Luo you would be able to ascend to the heavens. Trash is trash. Watch us beat you bunch of trash into a pulp. However, the students of the Devil class totally ignored their curses. He was still screaming at the top of his voice as he fled. Mocking laughter and screams filled the air. It was extremely lively. Gradually, the high-level profound practitioners who were spectating the battle noticed that something was wrong as they laughed and laughed. The awkwardness on the faces of the elders and the dean also faded away. Everyone's vision was placed on the Devil class. Devil class's students were indeed in a sorry state as they screamed miserably. But as far as the eye could see, not a single one of the 10 Devil class students had been hit by the attacks from Low Profound Class 2. None of the students were hurt. On the other hand, the students of Low Profound Class 2 were bursting with confidence, constantly chasing and releasing their profound qi. Gradually he was exhausted. He also realized that he had used up too much xianxia. A few of the students from Low Profound Class 2 kept the xianxia in their palms and blindly chased after the Devil class students. Several times they had already caught a Devil class student who was running around randomly. They were about to defeat him with one palm strike. But inexplicably they were collided with by another student. The cycle repeated. Chapter 11:18. A few Low Profound Class 2 students ran until they were out of breath. Don't think that it was just the time it took to burn a stick of incense. But following the Devil class students, they ran all over the arena. It was even more tiring than running 5 laps around the Heavenly Academy's public square. While running, they constantly circulated the power of their profound jade heart and released their profound qi in an attempt to restrain the Devil class students. In this way they had already overdrawn their physical strength. A Low Profound Class 2 student stopped to rest. Following that, some students also stopped to rest. And some directly fell to the ground, panting heavily. Anyway, these Devil class students were not able to stir up any waves. Other than being able to run, they had no other advantages. Let the other students catch up to the Devil class students first. A few of the Low Profound Class 2 students had the same thought. Immediately, no one stood up. On the arena there was such a situation. 10 Low Profound Class 2 students, 2 were sitting on the ground, 1 was lying on the ground and 1 was panting heavily with both hands on his knees. The other 6 students took heavy steps as they chased, panting and shouting, "Outflank! Outflank them! Outflank!" How could it be easy? The Devil class students ran in all directions without any order. They had no way of determining which direction the 10 students from Devil class were running towards. The arena was circular. No matter how they tried to outflank them, the Devil class students would always have a chance to escape from their encirclement. The scene on the arena was comical. Below the arena, there was an uproar and laughter. What exactly are the Devil class students trying to do? Instead of running away, they might as well surrender. That's right, it's so embarrassing. Other than running, they only know how to run. It's simply a waste of everyone's time. Devil class students participating in the interclass competition. It's a joke. Now that I've seen it, it's really a joke. The entire arena was filled with ridicule of the Devil class's pathetic state. There were also people who clicked their tongues and said in astonishment, "But, To be honest, the devil class students are too good at running. They ran on the arena for the time it took to burn a stick of incense. They could still continue to run and scream in high spirits. This energy, compared to the panting low profound class 2 students, they were indeed too good at running. It was quickly drowned out by the mocking laughter. The students of the devil class are all a bunch of trash. Of course they have to be able to run, otherwise if they meet with danger wouldn't they just die a violent death? I heard that at the back mountain of the dormitory yesterday, the devil class students were chased by more than 10 low-leveled magical beasts all over the mountain. Since they can run so fast, they must have been chased out. Haha. The ear-piercing mocking laughter rose and fell. However, in the area where they were waiting for the devil class, the dozens of youths did not seem to be able to hear the jeers around them. Their gazes were fixed on the arena without blinking. Looking at the tracks and movements of those 10 people, Yi Zichen felt a chill run down his spine. At this moment, the dozens of youths heard their class monitor's cold and indifferent voice say, "Now." The youths straightened their backs, widened their eyes, and watched even more seriously. In the arena, those devil class students who were originally running away suddenly stopped in their tracks at the same time. The 10 students looked at each other. As if by prior agreement, they rushed towards the low profound class 2 student who was chasing behind them. The few low profound class 2 students who were chasing did not expect that the devil class students would suddenly counterattack. Before he could react. Chapter 11:19. The position was coincidentally beside the few students who were resting on the ground. Among the devil class students, one of them shouted in a hoarse voice, "Beat them up. Beat them to death." Just as he finished his sentence, 10 devil class students, all rushed towards the low profound class 2 students who were lying on the ground. One by one, the students raised their fists and madly punched the low profound class 2 students. Tearing, pulling, waving their fists. That was called messy. That was called crazy. The crowd, cursing in their hearts, black lines on their foreheads, cold sweat all over. One by one they were speechless. The clamor, the ridicule were all stuck in their throats. This is too bad, isn't it? The scene, why did it look a little like a group of 5-year-old kids fighting over toys on the streets? The low profound class 2 students were suffering unspeakably, crying out in pain. They wanted to struggle but did not even have the strength to stand up. They wanted to use their profound chi to force the devil class students to retreat. Before they could even take a breath, the devil class students' fists had already landed. After enduring for a full cup of tea's time, the low profound class 2 students finally could not endure this inhumane torture. They struggled in pain and shouted, "Concede," until Yun Duan rang the gong to announce the end of the first duel, announcing the devil class's victory. The devil class students then let go of the low profound class students. 1. The devil class students got a good start. Obtained the first victory. Unbelievable. There was no way to believe this was the truth. The devil class students actually defeated the low profound class 2 students. Although the method was a little despicable, a little clumsy. But at least they won. And even forced the low profound class 2 to admit defeat. How is this a competition? The class monitor of low profound class 2's face was ashen. He stood up and said angrily. Looking at the countless mocking gazes around, the class monitor of low profound class 2 only felt his face burning. They actually lost to a waste class? Lost to a bunch of waste? And in front of all the powerhouses, all the representatives of the major academies, they were tortured to such a tragic state by a bunch of waste. As students of low profound class 2, how were they going to survive in the nirvana realm in the future? No matter where they went, they would be discussed by all the powerhouses. This would forever be their black history. Dean? We are not satisfied. This is not a competition at all. They cheated. The other students of low profound class 2 immediately stood up and echoed their class leader's words. And Ruopan wiped her sweat, slowly stood up from the ground. A pair of beautiful eyes looked in the direction of low profound class 2, and smiled coquettishly. All is fair in war, understand? Dan Baishi nodded. On the battlefield it's not only about absolute strength but also brains. Your IQ is too low and you blame us? The devil class students raised their eyebrows. The low profound class 2 student almost rushed into the ring. Low. Is there a rule that forbids running and ganging up? And Ruopan could not help but laugh. If you can't win, run. That's the smart choice. Don't tell me that you low profound class 2 are just going to stand there and let the opponent beat you? Her tone changed and she covered her mouth as she chuckled. I'm so sorry, standing there and letting the opponent hit us is the behavior of a fool. You people from low profound class 2 like to be fools, but we are not. Chapter 11:20. The students of low profound class 2 were completely disgraced. They could not accept their loss in this match. Not only because they lost to the devil class. The main reason was, they could not accept the method used by the devil class. Looking at the students of low profound class 2, they were furious, as though they wanted to rush up to the stage and tear them apart. And Ruopan snorted, why? Sore losers. Who are you calling sore losers? You guys use such a despicable method. Even if you win, it's not glorious. The students of low profound class 2 immediately retorted. We are wise, not boorish people. Tong Ziqing, who was in the devil class's waiting area, said coldly, after losing the match, look for your own reasons. Blindly blaming others, it will make our devil class look down on the bearing of your low profound class 2. The low profound class 2 students were so deflated by this sentence that they couldn't say a word. Instantly their faces turned red as they gritted their teeth and stared at the devil class. Seeing that the situation had calmed down, Yunduan then slowly said, just like what devil class said, the competition not only relies on strength but also brains. Although devil class's first match was indeed an unfair win, but it also shows that devil class students have extremely meticulous observation skills. This is something that everyone should learn from. He did not say anything previously because he specially left the matter to the students to settle themselves. If their higher-ups made a move, even if they suppressed the students of low profound class 2, low profound class 2 would not be convinced. It would be better for devil class to personally let low profound class 2 be convinced. The first round of drawing lots, devil class wins, advanced to the next round. Yun Duan continued to announce. On the side of devil class, the students immediately cheered, whistled and shouted the names of the 10 people on the stage. The 10 devil class students were originally in high spirits, looking as though they could fight with low profound class 2 for 300 rounds. After hearing the announcement, one by one their legs went limp and fell on the stage. It was as though they had accumulated too much energy, and after a moment of relaxation, they lost all their strength. Yun Duan urged them for a long time before these 10 devil class students supported each other, and with weak legs, they walked down the stage. The second round of the competition began. The second round of the competition was a standard profound chi and martial arts competition. It was on a completely different level from the farce of the children just now. The spectators were still discussing about devil class's victory. At this moment, all of their attention was focused on the arena. Seeing that the situation had finally stabilized in the interclass competition, the few elders sitting on the main seats all heaved a sigh of relief. Yun Xiang subconsciously looked at the 4 elders who came from the headquarters not far away. One of the elders exclaimed, devil class's students actually got a good start. It's out of my expectations. I couldn't tell that this class, which was known as trash in the Heavenly Academy, would be so resourceful. An elder nodded his head, his tone was full of praise. After all, the Heavenly Academy has been selected as the best academy for the past few years. Ordinary people would not be able to pass the admission assessment to enter the Heavenly Academy. In the Heavenly Academy they are known as the trash class, but walking on the path of Nirvana realm, those students are not ordinary people. These words received the approval of the other elders. Listening to the praises from the elders of the General Institute, Yun Xiang's expression turned ugly. He glanced at the dean and was about to speak. Chapter 11:21. His tone was indescribably kind and amiable. It was filled with the indulgence and helplessness of an elder. Yun Xiang was stunned. What was wrong with his director? He actually praised the devil class, praised Yiqing Luo? Wasn't the director especially vigilant against Yiqing Luo and hated her existence? How could it be? The next moment, the director looked towards the direction of the main elder. Supreme Imo has been teaching in the devil class for nearly 2 months. What do you think of student Ye's aptitude? Yun Xiang was stunned. Then he understood. The director purposely praised Yiqing Luo, but it was because of Yiqing Luo's topic, to strike up a conversation with the main elder. Heavenly Academy's interclass competition this time round had so many accidents. In front of other powerhouses and other academies' representatives, they had already lost the prestige of being the best academy, the first academy. This time round's best academy selection evaluation. Heavenly Academy no longer had the same confidence as in previous years. In order to get the best academy, they had to please the main academy's elders. When the 4 main elders heard that, they looked towards the direction of the director. Supreme Mo, who was sitting on the rightmost side, had a calm expression, without any fluctuation in his emotions. Hearing the director's question, he glanced sideways and replied indifferently, "Arrogant, presumptuous, don't know how to restrain yourself." The director's smile froze. Had he bootlicked the wrong person? Supreme Mo insisted on teaching in the devil class. It was obvious that he had a special relationship with Yiqing Luo. How could he give such an evaluation in front of the other elders? It's rare to hear Supreme Mo evaluating a student. Looks like this student Yi has given Supreme Mo a huge headache. One of the main elders stroked his white beard as he said. Supreme Mo retracted his gaze indifferently as his eyes fixed on the arena. Without enough ability, she always likes to charge into dangerous situations, causing the people around her to run around with her. Speaking to this point, he paused for a moment as his tone revealed a sliver of disdain. Teaching a class of students, using this kind of opportunistic method to obtain victory, isn't glorious. He could tell that Supreme Mo had a deep opinion towards Yiqing Luo. Faintly there was some disgust. The director instantly felt awkward. Earlier, in order to please Supreme Mo, he praised Yiqing Luo, but now he was slapped hard on his face by Supreme Mo. For a moment he didn't know what to say. The elder who was sitting beside Supreme Mo smiled and shook his head. Supreme Mo's words are wrong. There's a saying in devil class that's right: if they can't win, then run. If they can run, then that's their ability. This can only mean that on normal days, low profound class 2 doesn't have the corresponding training for their own body qualities. On the contrary, he felt that this piece of trash that everyone looked down on was from the devil class. That was interesting. Another head institute elder smiled and said, "This move is indeed a little despicable, but on the battlefield, the process isn't important. What's important is the result." Devil class didn't cheat, didn't rely on external forces, just based on their own outstanding physique and with a little bit of cleverness. It's not too much. The dean wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and laughed dryly. He could not understand the sudden change in Supreme Mo. The dean simply shut his mouth and did not speak again. Everyone's attention was once again focused on the arena. The second match was between Intermediate Profound Class 2 and High Profound Class 1. The students of these two classes were not too far apart in strength. There were quite a number of students in Intermediate Profound Class 2 who had the innate talent to enter the High Profound Class. As long as they performed outstandingly in the interclass competition this time, they would be able to win. Chapter 11:22. This was also the reason why countless students were trying their best to win in this interclass competition. Everyone wanted to go to the next level, to stand at the peak. It was as if, with great difficulty, he had broken through from the mystic profound realm to become a high-level earth profound realm profound practitioner. They would immediately want to advance and set their goal on the sky mystic realm and above, to become a sky mystic realm expert. And after reaching the sky mystic realm expert, they would want to advance to a higher mystic rank. Everyone was like this, forever greedy. The students of High Profound Class 1 and Intermediate Profound Class 2 were locked in this battle. No one was willing to admit defeat. Once Intermediate Class 2 won, they could possibly replace High Profound Class 1. Once High Profound Class 1 lost, they could be demoted to Intermediate Class. Both sides had their own things that they insisted on, and the battle was extremely exciting. The onlookers were already boiling with excitement. Many forces had already started discussing the 20 students on the stage, each of their profound rank, strength, identity and so on. They had the idea of roping in their own forces. Which class do you think will win? Evenly matched, I really can't tell. The Heavenly Academy is indeed the Heavenly Academy. These children are only 17 or 18 years old, but their fighting strength is so strong. Someone lamented and attracted countless people to echo. The battle between the high class was a real fist and foot fight, competing on the strength of both sides. Look, the most eye-catching student, that beautiful little girl from Intermediate Class 2. Someone pointed to the stage, the girl who was still releasing profound chi and accurately landed on the opponent. That female student was indeed the most eye-catching existence on the stage. This battle had been going on for at least the time it took to burn a stick of incense. Both sides were evenly matched and both had injuries on their bodies. But that female student seemed to have never participated in it. Her uniform was neat, her hair was neat, and there was no trace of disheveled mess on her body. But everyone could see it clearly. That female student was the real main force of Intermediate Class 2. She had been restraining High Profound Class 1 and had no room to fight back. The other low profound class 2 students took the opportunity to attack high profound class 1. That is Xianhuan family's 5th miss. Xianhuan? The Xianhuan family. Isn't that young lady? One of the 4 great profounder clans, the Xianhuan clan. Many forces and academies representatives naturally had some understanding of the Xianhuan clan. The 5th miss of the Xianhuan family, Xianhuan Liuli's good name, was naturally clear about it. Unruly, willful, and brainless. His talent was not bad, but he had been spoiled since he was young, and his brain had been spoiled. She relied on her status as the 5th miss of the Xianhuan family to form cliques and bully the children who disobeyed her. She also relied on her talent to stir up trouble. The children of many forces present had suffered at Xianhuan Liuli's hands. Looking at Xianhuan Liuli, who was the main force and had not let herself suffer any injuries, everyone fell silent. As expected of the miss of the Xianhuan family. She has already stepped into the profound earth realm at such a young age. Too powerful. The 4 great profounder clans really do deserve their reputations. She's too powerful. Even I wouldn't be able to gain the upper hand if I were to fight Xianhuan wuxia. Chapter 11:23. Especially when he heard the onlookers praising the Xianhuan family. Housekeeper Xianhuan's face was smiling like a chrysanthemum. Xianhuan Luli naturally heard the crowd's praises. She curled her lips complacently as the profound yin qi in her eyes flowed wantonly. The attacks in her hands were getting sharper and sharper. That's right, it was like this. Everyone bowed down to her strength. Everyone looked up to her like she was a fairy. She was the real genius. She was the existence that could shake countless of people. Dong, a gong was struck. The second match, Intermediate Profound Class 2, wins. The voice in the clouds announced the result word by word with impassioned power. Shock. Full of shock. Astonishment. Full of astonishment. After the result was out, the high profound Class 1 students were completely exhausted and collapsed on the stage. They had tried their best in this battle. But the opponent was too strong. The students of Intermediate Profound Class 2 cheered and hugged Xianhuan Luli excitedly. The other students of Intermediate Profound Class 2 rushed to the stage from the waiting area. They swarmed around Xianhuan Liuli and excitedly praised her performance today. All kinds of bootlicking made Xianhuan Luli grin from ear to ear. Her vanity was bursting. But Lu Xiaoyu, who was waiting in the waiting area, was clutching her clothes tightly. There wasn't the slightest joy of Intermediate Profound Class 2's victory on her face. On the contrary, it was filled with worry. There was another person standing beside Lu Xiaoyu. His facial features were regular and full of heroic spirit. The green and white uniform made his figure look slender. He looked at Lu Xiaoyu with a smile that didn't look like a smile. Worried about Yiqing Luo? Lu Xiaoyu was still worried when she heard a voice beside her. She screamed in fright and took a few steps back. She heaved a sigh of relief when she saw the face of the person beside her. She stared at him in annoyance. Class Monitor Xia, why do you always like to scare me? This person was the class monitor of Intermediate Profound Class 2, Xia Yan. He was also Yi Fengru's good friend. He was also the one who sent the challenge invitation to Yiqing Luo, inviting the devil class to participate in the interclass competition. As the class monitor of Intermediate Profound Class 2, I naturally have to show some concern when I see that my own classmate did not reveal any expression of happiness just because the class won. Xia Yan took a few steps closer to Lu Xiaoyu. Student Lu, are you worried about Student Yi, or worried that Intermediate Profound Class 2 and Devil Class will go against each other? Lu Xiaoyu opened her mouth but didn't know what to say. Perhaps, both of them were involved. Worried about Yiqing Luo's safety. Worried about the battle between Intermediate Profound Class 2 and Devil Class. What should she do? Do you believe her? Xia Yan saw that she did not speak and did not force her to answer, but asked another question. Lu Xiaoyu was stunned and looked at Xia Yan blankly. After a long while he slowly nodded. I do. Yiqing Luo was the first friend she made since she came to the Heavenly Academy. It was Yiqing Luo who had been encouraging her and changing her. She naturally believed in Yiqing Luo. No matter what it was, she believed it. Then believe in her. She will bring her brother back safely. Xia Yan's gaze gradually drifted forward, his voice very soft. Lu Xiaoyu did not know why, but because of Xia Yan's words, her heart firmly sank to the bottom of her heart. Inexplicably, there was a kind of peace of mind, a feeling of unconditional trust in Xia Yan. Because Xia Yan was her class monitor. The students of Intermediate Profound Class 2 were long used to relying on Xia Yan. As for the battle between Intermediate Profound Class 2 and Devil Class, Xie Yan paused for a moment. Lu Xiaoyu's eyes lit up as she looked hopefully at Xie Yan. Chapter 1124. Xie Yan gazed at the girl in front of him. That pair of clear and beautiful eyes sparkled like luminous pearls, resplendent luster. The curvature of his lips couldn't help but deepen. It was almost subconsciously. He raised his hand and caressed Lu Xiaoyu's head as he gently rubbed it. Student Lu, the interclass competition emphasizes on the interclass competition. Even if I don't arrange for you to go up for today's 10-people team battle, tomorrow's semifinals, or finals, you will eventually face each other. Lu Xiaoyu froze. The warmth of the man's warm palm on her head seemed to pass through her hair and touch her skin. Class monitor he. What was he doing? In front of so many people he actually rubbed her head? If you really treat Student Yi as a friend, then go all out in the battle against Devil Class. This is the most basic respect. Xie Yan saw her looking at him in a daze as he comforted her once again. At this moment, Lu Xiaoyu's mind was filled with whatever interclass competition and whatever Devil Class battle. She blinked her thick and curly eyelashes. She was at a loss. Her watery eyes looked like a startled animal. Xie Yan then realized that his actions had already crossed the line. He immediately retracted his hand. The expression on his face had a sliver of awkwardness. I'm sorry. Xie Yan clenched his palm tightly. The touch of her hair was so soft as if there was something coquettish past his heart. It was soft and soft. He didn't want to let go. Lu Xiaoyu blushed to her ears as she lowered her eyelids and didn't respond. Xie Yan coughed dryly. Anyway, just treat the competition normally. Saying that, he had already walked toward Xuanhuan Lu Li's direction. Leaving Lu Xiaoyu alone at the waiting area, blushing to her ears, not moving a single step for a long time. On the arena, Intermediate Profound Class 2's faces were filled with joy. Devil Class's area. Devil Class students were incomparably calm. For others, Intermediate Profound Class 2 winning against High Profound Class 1 was indeed something unexpected. But Devil Class had long known about it. Xuanhuan Lu Li had already been controlled by the Dark Forces. The Dark Forces would definitely help Xuanhuan Lu Li to obtain victory in this interclass competition. Because of the blood oath that Xuanhuan Liuli and Yiqing Luo had set. Looks like there's a high possibility that we will have to cross hands with Intermediate Profound Class 2. Qiao Jin narrowed his eyes as he whispered into Long Yunzhan's ears. That's for sure, Long Yunzhan said indifferently. His voice was cold and his eyes were calm. In the first round, their Devil Class won. In the second round, Intermediate Profound Class 2 won. Third round, High Profound Class 2 against Intermediate Class 1. There was no suspense in the third round. High Profound Class 2 will definitely win. In that case, next would be Devil Class, Intermediate Profound Class 2, High Profound Class 2 and Low Profound Class 1. The four classes would draw lots and face each other in pairs. According to the Dark Organization's plan. Entering the preliminary round, no matter what, they had to squeeze the Devil Class out. Devil Class was also bound to go up against Intermediate Profound Class 2. Qing Luo isn't back yet, could there be an accident? Yan Xiaoyi looked around restlessly. Little Kitty has already told Overlord brother-in-law that Big Sister has gone to look for Brother Yu. There won't be any accidents. Kitty Lee scratched the floor with her little claws. Although she said that, but from her actions, it was obvious that she was worried. Overlord has rushed over? Xiao Jin frowned in puzzlement as he looked towards Senior Mo who was at the main elder's side. Then, Chapter 1125. Right now it's more important for us to regulate our emotions and rest well. Long Yunzhan paused, closed his eyes and said indifferently, the third match won't take too long. The few of them collected their thoughts and tried their best to adjust their emotions. Yiqing Luo had said to wait for her return. She would definitely come back safely. What they needed to do was to guard the Devil Class well before Yiqing Luo returned. In a situation where no one was aware, he had obtained victory. Until Yiqing Luo's return. It was just as Long Yunzhan had said. The battle between High Profound Class 2 and Intermediate Class 1 did not last more than half an incense stick of time. The Intermediate Profound Class 1 was beaten to the point of retreating step by step. They were really unable to resist and raised the white flag to surrender. Just as Long Yunzhan expected. Devil Class, Intermediate Profound Class 2 and High Profound Class 2 entered the next round. In addition to the Low Profound Class 1 who will not participate in the first round of the competition, they will draw lots to determine the winner. Originally, Low Profound Class 1 was just holding on to the idea that at least they would not be the first class to be eliminated and muddle along. Anyway, those who could enter the second round were either High Profound Class 1 or High Profound Class 2. Any random student could send 10 of their Low Profound Class 1 students flying. But when he saw the Devil class entering the second round, Low Profound Class 1 suddenly felt hope. The goddess of fortune had descended upon them. They were to draw the Devil class. Their Low Profound Class 1 would be able to enter the third round of the preliminary round. Even if he lost. For Low Profound Class 1, this was also the highest honor. The class leaders of the 4 classes stood on the stage and began to draw the wooden sticks in Cloud's hand. The Low Profound Class 1 class monitor clenched the wooden stick in his hand, took a deep breath and looked down. The end of the wooden stick was red. Instinctively, he looked at the wooden stick of the High Profound Class 2 class monitor. Whoa. The Low Profound Class 1 monitor breathed a sigh of relief. He then looked at the wooden stick in the hands of the Class 2 class monitor. Whoa. Blue. Then, the class monitor of Low Profound Class 1 could not suppress the ecstasy in his heart. He clenched the wooden skewer that had a red end and looked at Long Yunjian ecstatically. Indeed, the wooden stick in Long Yunjian's hand was red. High Profound Class 2 versus Intermediate Class 2. Low Profound Class 1 versus Devil Class. This was the team for the second round. Next, you will have an hour to discuss your tactics, or to replace the students who will participate in the match. As usual, each class will send out 10 students to fight. Cloudy Cloud announced and dispersed the class leaders on the stage. In this 1 hour, the 4 classes participating in the second round began to discuss countermeasures or select candidates. And the Heavenly Academy took the opportunity to show off the Academy's elegance. For example, the Heavenly Academy's Wu Fuzi who went on stage to perform martial arts. For example, the instructor would instruct the freshmen on a mock performance. There was also a speech by the dean and so on. Finally, after an hour, the gong for the second match rang. The competition began. The first match, Low Profound Class 1 versus Devil Class. The Low Profound Class 1 directly chose the 10 most talented students who were about to be promoted to the intermediate class. As for the Devil class, it was still the same recipe, the same taste. Don't tell me these 10 students are the strongest in the Devil class? It can't be. The performance in the first round. If it's the strongest, then Devil class is too scary. Why isn't the class monitor of the Devil class going up? Don't tell me that the class monitor is just an empty shell? The first reaction of anyone who saw Long Yunjian was, this young man was really handsome. This young man was really cold. Chapter 11:26. No, that's not right. If the class monitor of Devil class was really an expert, he wouldn't have been assigned to Devil class. Based on the current situation. If Devil class sent out the best student with the highest profound rank to compete, there was still a 20% chance of defeating Low Profound Class 1. After all, if Devil class students couldn't win, they could still run. Even if Low Profound Class 1 already knew Devil class students' tricks. But if they couldn't outrun Devil class, wouldn't they still fall into their trap? Therefore the crowd was certain. The 10 students sent out by Devil class were the strongest students in Devil class. Thinking back to the scene of Devil class students fighting against Low Profound Class 2. If this was the strongest student, Devil class was really worthy of being called a trash class. Yun Duan announced the start of the competition. 2 classes, 10 students from the waiting area, walked towards the arena. Low Profound Class 1, the 10 students walked with high spirits. In the Devil class, the 10 students were lazy and sloppy to the point of being unpresentable. With such a comparison, no matter how one looked at it, this match was like a match between Low Profound Class 1 and the Devil class. Could it be, Devil class could still think of other sinister tricks? Both parties stood straight and bowed to each other. The class monitor of Low Profound Class 1 was personally participating in the competition. After seeing the delicate young girl standing opposite him, his expression added some pride. Their Low Profound Class 1 could finally turn over a new leaf in this interclass competition. Little beauty, don't worry, brother will definitely let you leave this arena without pain. End the battle quickly, I won't hurt you. The Low Profound Class 1 students, upon hearing the class monitor's teasing, all laughed out loud. Disdainful laughter, just like before when Devil class faced Low Profound Class 2, they were ridiculed. Anai Ruapan picked her ears, straightened her frail body, lightly snorted. Then I'm really sorry, sister will definitely let you leave this arena in pain and slowly torture you. Ah, did you hear that? This little beauty said she wants to torture us, ha ha ha. The class monitor turned his head, looked at the few students beside him, pointed at Xuanhuan and laughed. The low profound class 1 students burst into laughter. One by one they held their stomachs and laughed so hard that they couldn't stand straight. Trash from the trash class, you can't even use ordinary mystical energy attacks, yet you still want to participate in the interclass competition. You even said that you want to torture us? Little beauty, don't say that we don't know how to be tender towards you. We promise that we will love you dearly. As they spoke, the words coming out of the low profound class 1 students' mouths became extremely vulgar. Around the stage there were spirit formation masters sent by the General Institute. They had set up a spirit formation to prevent the students from losing control and injuring the spectators. Their voices were not low. The onlookers could not hear it clearly. All he knew was that the two classes were exchanging harsh words with each other. However, the dean in the general hospital could hear it clearly. The low profound class 1's filthy words made the dean's brows knit tightly together. Then he looked at the seat of the chief elder. The expressions of the 4 elders did not change. But the white eyebrows furrowed. They had always been of virtue and prestige, and the people they got to know were those who were gentle and polite in front of them. How could the 4 elders remain indifferent to the words of low profound class 1? The dean could not sit still. Just as he was about to stand up and reprimand the low profound class 1's unbearable abuse. However, he heard a scream. Chapter 11:27. The students of low profound class 1 were stunned. The onlookers were stunned. The dean was also stunned. Just now, the class monitor of low profound class 1 was pointing at Xuanhuan, spewing out those unbearable words. Xuanhuan suddenly stretched out her hand, and directly pinched the fingers of the class monitor of low profound class 1. Her fingers twisted. The fingers of the class monitor of low profound class 1, only to hear the crisp sound of bones breaking. That pain, it was simply unbearable. After the class monitor of low profound class 1 knelt on the ground and Xuanhuan, who was standing opposite, blinked her bright eyes, turned around in surprise and looked at her classmates. Look. I defeated the class monitor of low profound class 1. Am I very powerful? The students of devil class were also surprised and nodded their heads. They kept praising Xuanhuan's power. The students of low profound class 1 were unable to restrain their anger. The students of devil class actually dared to make the first move. A bunch of trash. Actually dared to injure their class monitor? The class monitor represented the face of the entire class. Without saying a word, Xuanhuan directly broke the fingers of the class monitor of low profound class 1. This was a ruthless slap on the face of low profound class 1. Hence, the students of low profound class 1 were enraged. Pointing at the nose of devil class, he scolded, "You little whore! See if I don't beat you to death." The battle situation was on the verge of breaking out. Low profound class 1 was obviously affected by the previous duel between devil class and low profound class 2. They were afraid that devil class would use the same old tricks again. After the battle started, the 9 of them directly surrounded the students of devil class, and pounced towards them. The devil class who had their path blocked, did not even have the chance to run around on the stage. As expected. On the faces of the students of devil class, they all revealed a panicked and frightened expression. When they saw the students of low profound class 1 rushing up, preparing to gang up on them. This fist had not even landed on their bodies. The students of devil class were already screaming in fear. Closing their eyes, they pulled the people beside them and shouted, "Help! Run!" The situation on the stage once again became a comical stage show. The students of the devil class covered their heads and scampered away like rats, screaming like ghosts. One by one they closed their eyes and charged around, bumping into a student, then brandishing their fists, they landed on the low profound class 1 student's body. That strength. It was even lighter than a tickle. The low profound class 1 student just raised his hand and gave it a push. The devil class students fell to the ground, howling like ghosts. The onlookers burst into laughter. Over at the president's seat, his expression was unsettled. In the waiting area of the class, there was a lot of discussion. Looking at the devil class students lying on the floor, the low profound class students picked up their class monitor. The class monitor endured the pain and clenched his teeth as he fiercely kicked a devil class student who was leaning against his leg and scolded angrily, "A bunch of trash, simply trash that can't be any more trash. Did you join the interclass competition just to get beaten up? Alright, I'll fulfill your wish." One kick was followed by the next and it was followed up by the next. Unexpectedly, the student who was originally lying on the ground and howling in pain. Suddenly he fiercely hugged low profound Class 1 class monitor's leg. Class 1 monitor was livid with anger. He shook his leg, trying to break free from the devil class students. "Ah, who asked you to kick me? Who asked you to kick me? I'm going to beat you to death." Like a few-year-old child who was beaten to tears, words that were throwing a tantrum came out from the devil class students' mouths. Listening to it, it was extremely laughable. But the students of low profound Class 1 could not laugh. Especially the class monitor. Other than screaming, he could not make any other sound. That devil class student, after hugging the class monitor's thigh, his head directly bumped upwards. 1. Chapter 11:28. Low Profound Class 1 Class Monitor AOT. Out. The low profound Class 1 monitor who was lying on the ground, other than clutching his balls, he had no more energy to pay attention to the situation in the arena. He felt like he was about to break into pieces. So broken that he didn't want to. After the monitor fell down, the other students panicked. They wanted to support their own monitor. Before they could take a step, a leg inexplicably stretched out under their feet, using force to trip them. The low profound Class 1 student only had time to let out a scream before he fell heavily to the ground. Not waiting for that student to react, 2 students from Devil class directly pounced on the low profound Class 1 student. Attacking left and right, they beat him up wildly. The other students wanted to help, but they were all the same, tripped to the ground, and then 2 Devil class students pounced on them. Dirty tricks, here it comes again. The crowd's laughter grew louder and louder. They were also dumbstruck. To the Devil class students, this kind of opportunistic method. They were speechless to the extreme. Isn't this a little too cruel? In the power viewing area, the Xuanhuan power area. Butler Xuanhuan frowned as he stared at the farce on the arena, his face darkening. He raised his hand, his fingers twitching. Behind him, a middle-aged man dressed in a black robe, with a cold expression, who looked like he had experienced the vicissitudes of life, took a step forward. He said something in a low voice. That middle-aged man nodded slightly. After receiving the order, he was about to leave to make arrangements. But he bumped into a person. The middle-aged man turned his head, and what entered his eyes was a blood-red robe. Raising his eyes, he met with a pair of cold eyes that seemed to bear thousands of years of frost. He was stunned and lowered his head in fear. "Lord of the castle." Hearing the voice, Butler Xuanhuan immediately turned his head. After seeing Zhu Wuxian behind him, Butler Xuanhuan immediately stood up, and respectfully extended his hand to invite Zhu Wuxian to sit on his seat. Zhu Wuxian's expression was indifferent. He coldly glanced at the middle-aged man standing at the side and said coldly, "Where do you want to go?" The middle-aged man's legs went soft, his body tensed, and he lowered his head, not daring to speak. "Let him run some errands for me and do some things." Butler Xuanhuan continued and smiled flatteringly. "Lord of the castle is also interested in the school's competition?" Zhu Wuxin ignored Butler Xuanhuan's question. His cold eyes fixed on the middle-aged man for a long time. His gaze darkened as he collected his thoughts. Yes. It was a single word without any fluctuation. No one could guess what Zhu Wuxian was trying to express. Just as he was about to speak, he saw Zhu Wuxin walk directly to Butler Xuanhuan's seat and sit down. When Butler Xuanhuan saw this, he secretly waved his hand at the middle-aged man, signaling him to leave quickly. Then he followed behind Zhu Wuxin and sat down not far from him. The middle-aged man quietly disappeared into the crowd. Until the figure disappeared. Only then did Zhu Wuxin retract his gaze. "I didn't expect Castle Lord to be interested in the class competition of the Heavenly Academy." A hearty laughter came from the side. He was the representative of the Yuchi family, the third head of the Yuchi family. A navy blue brocade robe wrapped around his extremely stout body, and a simple and honest silly smile hung on his face. However, no matter how stupid and honest he looked on his face, it didn't matter. The shrewd scheming in his eyes couldn't be hidden no matter what. When Butler Xuanhuan saw him walking over, his expression suddenly changed. They were listed as one of the 4 great families in the West Continent. In the dark, they had long been fighting to the death. The tranquility and harmony on the surface couldn't be maintained. Chapter 11:29. The Yuchi third boss rubbed his plump belly and sat down on an empty seat at the side as if he was familiar with them. "I wanted to say hello when I saw the Lord yesterday but missed the opportunity. It's rare to see the Lord today, so naturally I came over to say hello." Butler Xuanhuan suppressed the urge to chase him away. What greeting! He was obviously here to build a relationship with the Lord. Third head Yuchi looked at Zhu Wuxin with a smile. Lord, do you mind if I accompany you to watch the competition? Zhu Wuxin didn't even bat an eyelid. He didn't respond to his question. Instead, he asked another question. What do you think about the competition between the two classes? Third head Yuchi and butler Xuanhuan were stunned. Zhu Wuxin was really interested in the inter-class competition? And he even asked for their opinion? Third head Yuchi was the first to react and was overjoyed. This was agreeing to let him watch the competition with him. He could even discuss the competition process with the Lord. Wouldn't this shorten the distance between the Yuchi family and Death God Castle? He opened his mouth and was about to analyze the situation on the stage. But at the same time he heard butler Xuanhuan say, without a doubt, it must be low profound class 1 that one. Third head Yuchi shut his mouth. Zhu Wuxin looked at butler Xuanhuan. Seeing Zhu Wuxin's reaction, butler Xuanhuan smiled even more flatteringly. Devil class is the useless class of the Heavenly Academy. It's a place where students who passed the entrance examination but did not perform well in the freshman training are sent there. I heard 5th Miss mention about Devil class before. The students of Devil class might not even be able to defeat a normal person. Zhu Wuxin was still expressionless as he looked at him, waiting for him to continue. Looking at the situation on the stage, the Devil class students, other than pestering endlessly, barging their way in and having a little bit of luck in terms of strength, they definitely cannot compare to low profound class 1. After saying that, he raised his eyebrows provocatively at third head Yuchi. As though he was proud. He had completely analyzed the situation. Third head Yuchi had no chance to speak. But third head Yuchi only smiled faintly. In front of him, the words his big brother had said seemed to echo. That girl is a miracle. Not only did she create a miracle, she can also bring miracles to the people around her. The battle in the tomb of the Ling King. The Yuchi third master had mentioned it countless times to big brother. Yuchi family's patriarch's admiration towards Yi Qingluo had totally surpassed his own son's death. His 2 sons were ruined in Yi Qingluo's hands. But he was still unable to say out of righteous indignation that he could avenge his son and become enemies with Yi Qingluo. Up until now, the Yuchi family had made too many enemies. There was no way out. If they were to offend Yi Qingluo, what they would get in return? It was a pain that was even worse than what he was experiencing now. A Yuchi family head who was over 50 years old and was used to killing. Yet he was so afraid of a 15-year-old girl. And this young lady was a student of the devil class. Yi Qingluo who could bring miracles to the people around her. How could the devil class be as inferior as what butler Xuanhuan said? I, on the other hand, feel that devil class will obtain victory in the second round of the competition. Moreover, it will be well deserved. The honor of winning the second match. He belonged to the devil class. Don't look at how the devil class looks now, they look like they're in a sorry state. Chapter 1130. You're talking nonsense. Butler Xuanhuan saw that his analysis was overruled by the third head of Yuchi. And he even said that devil class's ability surpassed low profound class 1? A useless class without a teacher to teach them, a useless class that was left to fend for itself. How could they surpass low profound class 1? In the first round, devil class was obviously at a disadvantage. If it wasn't for their good luck and their ability to escape, how could they have passed the first round? The corner of the Yuchi third head's lips curled into a cold smile. Luck? Then in the second round they completely suppressed low profound class 1 to the point that they had no chance to resist. Was that luck? Isn't it? Butler Xuanhuan scoffed. Once is luck, twice is luck, until now, can you still say that it's luck? When butler Xuanhuan heard that, his face stiffened. Zhu Wuxian's interest was piqued. He squinted his cold eyes and looked at the third head of Yuchi. Tell me more. The third head of Yuchi rubbed his fat belly and smiled like the Buddha. He politely nodded at Zhu Wuxian, then shifted his gaze to the arena and gave his opinion. In the first round, Devil Class and Low Profound Class 2's duel. Although it looked like Devil Class was running away, but in actual fact, Devil Class students should have purposely let the Low Profound Class 2 students run all over the arena. When the Low Profound Class 2 students were tired, they would gather together and beat up the Low Profound Class 2 students. He spoke very quickly, but every word was spit out clearly. To let the Low Profound Class 2 students run all over the arena, and to be able to control them in one place, and at the same time to rest when they were tired, this is definitely not just because of luck. To be able to do this, one must have a strong observation and calculation ability. Also, Devil Class is very familiar with their opponent. if they did not understand their opponent's characteristics. It was impossible for Devil Class students in such a short period of time to plot against the low profound Class 2 students. Chu Wuxin nodded, his expression calm and unperturbed. The third head of Yuqi's heart was in his throat. He could not guess what answer Zhu Wuxian wanted to hear. He could only follow his own thoughts and continued, the second round against low profound Class 1. In this battle I have understood the tactics of the Devil Class. Barging around, pestering endlessly, this made the low profound Class 1 who was already bursting with confidence, even more confident, and even more disregard the Devil Class. But every time the Devil Class students barged in, or when they punched the low profound Class 1 students in the chest, it was all premeditated. What they want to do is to catch all the students of low profound Class 1 in one go. The Devil Class is so powerful? Butler Xuanhuan obviously did not believe it. He had long been influenced by Xuanhuan Liuli and looked down on the Devil Class. He only felt that the Yuqi third head's analysis was an alarmist. If the students in the Devil Class are so smart, their profound levels wouldn't be so low. Butler Xuanhuan squinted his eyes as he stared intently at the Devil Class students on the stage who were in a sorry state but were still clinging on to their opponents. Trash with no fighting power at all. Even if you win against the low profound class, the following matches will only be a joke. The Yuqi third boss was silent. She did not refute his words. Indeed, this was also what he felt strange about. The methods used by the Devil Class students were indeed despicable. But this method was indeed based on their own ability to do so. To be able to play with the two classes of low profound class in the palm of their hands, it was indeed the strength of the Devil Class. But why these students' profound levels were so low? Chapter 1131. Mystic Profound 4th Grade. No matter if it was Class 1 or Class 2, there were plenty of them in the low profound class. Not to mention the 10 Devil Class students on the stage, the highest profound grade was only Mystic Profound 4th Grade. If Devil Class really defeated low profound Class 1 and won the second round, then in the third round, no matter if it was against intermediate profound Class 2 or high profound Class 2, Devil Class would definitely be the one to be beaten. These underhanded tricks should be thought of by Devil Class's Yi Qing Luo. After Butler Xuanhuan heard the analysis, he had already agreed with Third Master Yuqi's point of view. He was able to defeat his opponent without suffering any damage. Although it looked pathetic, but in actual fact, Devil Class was the biggest winner. Obviously they were just trash without any ability. Just based on these messy underhanded tricks, would they be able to walk to the end? Butler Xuanhuan snorted lightly, knowing that these underhanded tricks are shameful. Yi Qing Luo doesn't even have the guts to appear on the stage. Even if Devil Class won the 2 rounds, they would still be a joke in the future. Not only a bunch of trash from the waste class. A bunch of insidious and cunning people who only knew how to use underhanded tricks in a proper competition. What accompanied the Devil Class was endless scolding and ridicule. No matter if it was Heavenly Academy or West Continent. There was a high possibility that there was no place for Devil Class to stand. Gossip would often become the sharpest blade. Killing without any form. Third Master Yuqi remained silent. Towards Devil Class's actions in the first and second round of the competition, they were able to lead their opponents and play with them. He indeed admired Devil Class's students, to be able to execute these 2 underhanded tricks perfectly without any accidents or mistakes. To be able to train a bunch of low profound grade students to such a stage. He had already determined that this underhanded trick was guided by Yi Qing Luo. Without Yi Qing Luo, these students could not possibly reach such a stage. And one more very important point. Zhu Wuxin, who had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke indifferently. The 2 of them immediately turned their gazes towards him solemnly. Zhu Wuxian's icy cold eyes stared at the stage, seemingly unfocused, yet as though he was seriously watching the battle situation on the stage. He didn't continue. The 2 of them didn't dare to open their mouths. The atmosphere was stiff. After a while, Zhu Wuxian's extremely cold voice, wrapped in frost, entered their ears. Chemistry. The 2 ice-cold words were like an icicle, piercing into their hearts. Both of them were startled. They exchanged glances before coming to a realization. Tacit understanding? Butler Xuanhuan muttered, not understanding the meaning behind Zhu Wuxian's words. But the Yuqi third boss suddenly clapped his hands. Right. Chemistry. The chemistry between the students of Devil Class. After 2 consecutive duels, Devil Class students were able to use their underhanded methods to perfection. toying with the low profound class in the palm of their hands. It was not because of their profound rank. It was a tacit understanding. The 10 people in the arena, whether they were attacking or fleeing in all directions, were wailing like ghosts and howling like wolves. But they were all like Maltos. Stick together tightly. Even if they were separated, it wouldn't be more than 3 steps. Their teamwork allowed them to understand what the other party was going to do and where they were going with just a glance or a breath. This kind of tacit understanding. It was definitely not something that could be achieved overnight. Just like the triplets on the Godless Island, even though they had telepathy, they still needed to train for more than 10 years before they could truly become one. This devil class was not simple. Chapter 1132. Dong, the sound of the gong rang. Elder Yun Duan's deep and resonant voice resounded throughout the West Square. Preliminary round, second class confrontation, first round, low profound class 1 versus devil class wins. Following Yun Duan's announcement, the crowd burst out into a hubbub of noise. Vaguely, there were some boorish men scolding the unfairness of the class confrontation. On the arena, low profound class 1 students laid on the ground, unable to move. Whereas devil classes students, their clothes were messy, their hair was messy and they were in a sorry state. But they stood in the arena with ecstatic smiles on their faces. 1. Devil classes students, once again won in the class confrontation competition. The first time was an accident. Then what about the second time? Devil class, the class that was looked down upon by everyone. Devil class, the class that was labeled as trash, all the students were trash. Devil class, the class that made the Heavenly Academy students feel ashamed when they mentioned it. Devil class. They won the second round of competition. Low profound class 2 classes successively lost in their hands. Even if the method was a little underhanded. Using a little trick. But in the end they won. High profound class 2 waiting area. Lu Shuiyu's icy cold face sunk, coldly looking at the arena, the devil classes students who were cheering happily, her hands clenched into fists. Lu Shuilan's face was filled with worry. Sister, devil classes students? How could they have such good luck? 2 consecutive rounds? They won both rounds. Yiqing Luo is obviously not here. When they saw that among the devil classes students, Yiqing Luo was not there, their hearts heaved a sigh of relief. Without Yiqing Luo in the devil class they could easily crush and hang them up. But without Yiqing Luo in the devil class, they won 2 rounds consecutively. Although both were against the low profound class. But, in the Academy's records, even if it was the low profound class, their innate talent was much stronger than the devil class by hundreds or thousands of times. But devil class 1. That little slut has a lot of underhanded tricks. Lu Shuiyu glanced at the students beside her. The third round of competition. After we meet with devil class, try to break their rhythm. As long as they don't coordinate with each other, their underhanded tricks will not be able to be used. No wonder she was the faculty council's vice president. Lu Shuiyu's observation ability was indeed amazing. After 2 matches, she had already seen through the tricks of the 10 students from devil class. And in the shortest time possible, he thought of a countermeasure to counter devil class's dirty tricks. The students of high profound class 2 nodded solemnly. They are high profound class 2 students. It was a higher class in the Heavenly Academy, second only to the class of gods. If they were to lose to the tactics of the devil class, for the high profound class 2, it was a lifetime of shame. They could only win, they could not lose. The gong sounded, signaling the start of the second round. The students from high profound class 2 who were called to fight walked up the stage. The students that Lu Shuiyu pointed out were those who were above average in high profound class 2. Lu Shuilan was also appointed by her to participate in the competition. In the past few days, the Lu family had sent Lu Shuiyu many pills that could strengthen her body and mind. Right now, Lu Shuiyu's profound rank had reached the first level of the Earth Profound Realm. He was the one with the highest profound rank among the 10 students participating in the competition. Even the weakest was at the Mystic Profound 6th grade. He took out these 10 students. It was obvious that High Profound Class 2 was prepared to win the second round in one fell swoop. Of course, High Profound Class 2 and Intermediate Class 2. Without a doubt, High Profound Class 2 would win. Although everyone already knew the outcome of this match, but they were still exceptionally excited. After all, after seeing the farce between Low Profound Class 1 and Devil Class, they urgently needed a real battle. Chapter 1133. Students from both sides went up and bowed to each other. There wasn't much conversation. Both sides directly started the battle. one had to admit. This match between High Profound Class 2 and Intermediate Profound Class 2 was much more exciting than the previous few matches. The students' coordination, judging the timing of their attacks, strong attacks, etc. It made everyone's eyes lit up. But after the time it took to burn half a stick of incense, the spectators' hearts were all in suspense. They felt their blood boiling. Long Yunjian squinted his azure blue eyes as he stared deeply at the obviously strange students on the stage. Xuanhuan Luli is not the only one who makes use of profound yin qi. This match, Intermediate Profound Class 2. Looks like they will definitely win. Intermediate Profound Class 2's target is Devil Class. Xuanhuan Luli wants to make use of Intermediate Profound Class 2 to chase us out of the preliminary round. Xiao Jin and the rest nodded. They could all tell. Xuanhuan Luli was not the only student in Intermediate Profound Class 2. 10 students. At least 4 students made use of profound yin qi to control the students in the High Profound Class 2 to the extent that they had no chance to resist. However, no matter if it was the director or the main elder, no one discovered this. Profound yin qi, only those who knew the inside story would be able to sense it. Long Yunjian's expression turned colder and colder. He had not forgotten what the dark forces had done to him. He had not forgotten that the dark forces had manipulated him to attack Yi Qing Luo. He had not forgotten that his sword had pierced through Yan Xiaoyi. Dark forces. It was all because of the dark forces. Even the devil class's students didn't put it to heart. But that matter would become a wound in his heart, a huge wound. He wanted to fill this wound. The only way was to destroy the dark forces. To kill the person who had manipulated him. Class monitor. Sensing the strong murderous aura from Long Yunjian, Xiao Jin immediately grabbed Long Yunjian's arm and raised his voice. Class monitor. Long Yunjian's clear eyes flashed. He regained his usual indifference. Xiao Jin looked at him for some time as he tightened his grip on his arm. But he didn't continue speaking. He and Long Yunjian had been brothers for a few years. How would he not understand where Long Yunjian's sudden murderous intent came from? Long Yunjian wasn't willing to say, so he naturally wouldn't ask. This was obviously a scene of brotherly love. But in the eyes of others, that was not the case. Devil Class won 2 rounds consecutively. Naturally, many people were paying attention to their situation. For example, the students from High Profound Class 1. You guys look. A female student shouted loudly. It was hard to tell if she was agitated or excited. It's the class monitor of the Devil Class and the students of the Devil Class. The female student beside him immediately looked over. The class monitor of Devil Class and a student beside him were holding hands, their fingers intertwined. Most importantly, the 2 people intertwining their fingers were both men. It was a man. Was this a show of cutting one's sleeve in broad daylight? But to be honest, the appearance of the students in Devil Class is really much better than the other classes in the academy. Look at each and every one of them. The males are handsome and the females are beautiful. It's so pleasing to the eye. It's the one who's holding the Devil Class monitor's hand. Other than being a little ugly, the rest of them all make one's heart palpitate. Even though they were High Profound Class students. Even though he was a student who lost the competition. But they couldn't stop their rotten hearts from swelling. Devil Class students, men holding hands and whatnot. Chapter 1134. The excitement of this group of female students also attracted the attention of other students. The students of High Profound Class 1 looked towards the direction of the Devil Class. After understanding the topic that the female students were talking about, Yi Zichen's eyes lit up. All the male students' faces darkened. Cut sleeves? What was there to be excited about? Cutting sleeves and whatnot is so disgusting. The attention of the students of High Profound Class 1 was completely diverted from the arena to the Devil Class. All of them rubbed the goosebumps on their bodies and felt disgusted. The actions of these male students caused a group of female students to roll their eyes at them. They even received a bunch of pedantic, unromantic, and other comments. The 2 of them are a bit like the 2 in our class. A female student whispered. The other female students instantly understood and nodded. Similar. Very similar. While they were talking, the 2 people who were being discussed had already stood up from the waiting area of High Profound Class 1. Walking at the front, he was tall and slender, but he was tall and straight. He was handsome and there was a brilliant smile on his lips. Walking at the back, his body proportion was perfect, slightly taller than the guy in front, and his expression was calm. The 2 of them stood up. All the female students instantly shut their mouths. Their hands covered their mouths tightly, not allowing themselves to scream out loud. It's Qi Yijing and Dong Huanglang. It's this pair. They are a pair. Speaking of Dong Huanglang and Qi Yijing. Although these two were freshmen who had just entered High Profound Class 1. But their talent and ability to comprehend were extremely strong. Moreover, they never gave up and had extremely strong willpower. In just a few months' time, they had already made the students of High Profound Class 1 completely accept their existence. Captured a bunch of fangirls. One attacking and one receiving. One hot and one cold. Like a Siamese twins, no matter what they did, they would stick together. Even when they went to the toilet, bathed and slept, they were all together. This was simply a combination that made people's imagination run wild. Countless fangirls with the eyes of a fangirl watched Dong Huanglang and Qi Yijing walk towards the direction of the devil class. High Profound Class 1 instantly exploded. In a hubbub, guessing that the two of them were going to find the devil class, could it be that they were going to be the pair with the class monitor? Talking to each other, what does it feel like to be cut sleeves? When Qi Yijing and the other two walked over, Long Yunzhan and the others had already sensed them. Dong Huanglang was always friendly. He walked over and sat down next to Long Yunzhan. He put one hand on Long Yunzhan's shoulder. Long Yunzhan's eyes sank. He doesn't like strangers touching him. Even the students of the devil class would intentionally avoid him and not come into contact with him. A trace of frost appeared on Long Yunzhan's frozen handsome face. He released his qi and was about to attack Dong Huanglang's hand. A large palm covered his shoulder. The profound qi in his body was suppressed by a force. Long Yunzhan frowned and looked up. "We don't mean to disturb you. We just want to ask why student Yi did not participate in today's competition." "Classmate Yi? Yiqing Luo?" Students from the High Profound class would still come to inquire about Yiqing Luo's whereabouts? Judging from his tone, he wasn't trying to pry. On the contrary, there was a hint of concern. Long Yunzhan retracted his imposing manner. "What's your relationship with Qing Luo?" "Friends," Dong Huanglang said with a smile. "We met during the freshman training. We are friends with student Yi." "Freshman training?" At that time he didn't know Yiqing Luo. Long Yunzhan frowned and looked at Xiao Jin. Xiao Jin nodded. Chapter 1135. He was indeed considered as Yiqing Luo's friend. However, ever since they were separated, they had been busy with their own studies and hadn't had much interaction. However, the two of them were not bad people. In today's competition, I'm afraid that Intermediate Profound Class 2 is aiming for your devil class. Qi Yijing said lightly, "If student Yi is not here, you'd better admit defeat in the third round." Admitting defeat did not mean that he was eliminated. Tomorrow's semifinals would be the true elimination round. If he could endure today's match and participate in the semifinals tomorrow, even if he lost, at least he wouldn't be injured or meet with any accidents. Long Yunzhan and Xiao Jin looked at each other. These two people know the motive of Intermediate Profound Class 2? He actually saw that Intermediate Profound Class 2 would win against High Profound Class 2? One had to know that everyone was sure that High Profound Class 2 would win this round. These two people had actually determined that Intermediate Profound Class 2 would be the class that would face off against Devil Class? There's something wrong with the students of Intermediate Profound Class 2. Qi Yijing went straight to the point. When we were fighting just now, I felt that there was a force in the bodies of these students that did not belong to them. Qi Yijing and Dong Huanglang were the two who had just entered the arena. The other 8 were carried out of the arena. Only the two of them, under the aggressive encirclement of Intermediate Profound Class 2, only suffered superficial injuries. When mentioning this matter, Dong Huanglang, who had always been careless, also lowered his voice. "Yes, it's that force. It's disgusting and we can't get close to them at all. If we react a little slower, we will definitely be killed." Dong Huanglang gnashed his teeth when he mentioned the word merciless hand. He rubbed his aching chest. There were several places on his body where Xuanhuan Liuli had struck. Purple bruises had already appeared on his face. "The students of Intermediate Profound Class 2 are cheating," Qi Yijing said lightly. He had cheated to the point where even the dean and the elders of the general courtyard could not detect it. Even if they knew that Intermediate Profound Class 2 was cheating, they couldn't say it out loud. Most importantly, the two of them were not very interested in winning. Just that, when they saw the battle between Intermediate Profound Class 2 and High Profound Class 2, Qi Yijing suddenly understood something. Intermediate Profound Class 2. If they wanted to obtain victory, they had to openly destroy the devil class on the stage. The enmity between Xianhuan Lioli and Yiqing Luo was something they had heard from the other students. You guys can't beat Intermediate Profound Class 2. Qi Yijing looked at Long Yunzhan calmly. His tone was calm as still water. He didn't mean to mock her. It was a suggestion from the bottom of his heart. It's impossible for me to surrender. Long Yunzhan nodded slightly, expressing Devil Class's gratitude towards their concern. Devil Class students do not have the habit of retreating. The world had not perished and they would not surrender even in death. Even though they knew that the road ahead was dangerous, they still didn't give up. They would also charge forward without hesitation. Because they were no longer weaklings. He was no longer trash. They wanted to move from the darkness to the light and welcome a new life. Because Yiqing Luo was still waiting for them. For Yiqing Luo, for the Devil Class, and for himself. They would never admit defeat. Most importantly, Intermediate Profound Class 2 would not give them the chance to admit defeat. They, because of Xianhuan Lioli and Yiqing Luo's blood oath, had no choice but to admit defeat. Xianhuan Lioli's motive was to eliminate Devil Class in today's preliminary round. Which meant that the third round of competition. Chapter 1136. Seeing the attitude of Devil Class's students, Qi Yijing didn't say anything more. Dong Huanglang scratched his head. If Student Yi is not around, I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to win. Thank you for your concern for Devil Class. Xiao Jin nodded at them. Immediately, he lowered his voice and warned, you should pretend that you don't know about this matter. Otherwise, you won't be able to defend against a fatal disaster. The two of them were stunned. Obviously, Devil Class's students had long seen through the motive of Intermediate Profound Class 2. They had also seen through the cheating of Intermediate Profound Class 2. Fatal disaster? The motive of Intermediate Profound Class 2 was not to beat Devil Class and become the Academy's #1 class. But, wanted Devil Class's life? Seeing Qi Yijing's calm eyes, a glint flashed past. Xiao Jin kept the smile on his lips. I'm serious, the more you know, the faster you die. Dong Huanglang was stunned by this tone. It wasn't that he was afraid. But he was worried about Yiqing Luo, worried about Devil Class. If it really involved a matter of life and death. Then, between Intermediate Profound Class 2 and Devil Class, it wasn't as simple as Yiqing Luo and Xianhuan Lioli's little girl feud. Just as he was about to speak, his shoulder was pressed down by someone. It was Qi Yijing. Qi Yijing forcefully pulled Dong Huanglang into his arms. Ignoring his struggle, he said as he left, sorry to disturb you, if Student Yi is back, please send our regards. Saying that, he forcefully dragged Dong Huanglang and left Devil Class area. Long Yunzhan, Xiao Jin and the rest didn't even glance at the two of them. But their hearts were unable to calm down. Intermediate Profound Class 2's actions were so brazen. The dark forces were already so arrogant to this extent? Jing Luo Shi. Was she really alright? The Overlord he. Really arrived in time? Dong? The gong was sounded. The two classes that were locked in a stalemate on the arena had finally decided the victor and loser. It made everyone's jaws drop. The class that won, Intermediate Profound Class 2. Not only did the High Profound Class 2 lose, they lost terribly. The Profound Practitioner of the Earth Profound Realm was directly abused to the point of being carried to the infirmary. The crowd expressed. Strange things happen all the time, but there were especially many today. A single Devil Class winning 2 rounds consecutively was already a huge surprise to everyone. Now there was another Intermediate Profound Class 2. Consecutively winning 2 classes from the High Profound Class. Moreover, it was the kind of crushing victory. The Heavenly Academy was going to soar to the skies this year. Of course, compared to the despicable fighting style of the Devil Class, the true strength of the Intermediate Profound Class 2 was like a dark horse in the Heavenly Academy. After this battle, Intermediate Profound Class 2 could be promoted to High Profound Class students. On the Dean's side, the Dean's expression was relatively calm. The other elders had weird expressions on their faces. He couldn't tell if he should be happy or worried. The students from Intermediate Profound Class 2 had crushed the students from the High Profound Class. Logically speaking, this was an honor for the Heavenly Academy. However, the High Profound Class 2 that had always enjoyed the higher education of the Academy was actually crushed by the Intermediate Profound Class 2. If it was a battle between High Profound Class 1 and High Profound Class 2, it would be reasonable for High Profound Class 1 to win. But, Intermediate Profound Class 2 was separated by High Profound Class 1. Directly defeating Class 1, then slaughtering his way into Class 2. This would definitely make the headquarters suspect that the Heavenly Academy didn't know how to judge the students' comprehensive ability and allocated them to the most suitable class. For example, Xuanhuan Lioli, who was the brightest star in this competition. Chapter 1137. The third round of competition was between Intermediate Profound Class 2 and War Devil Class. Two dark horses, who were supposed to be eliminated in the first and second round of competition. But they had successfully made it to the third round. The strength of Intermediate Profound Class 2 was already so strong. Then, could Devil Class still rely on their little tricks to win the preliminary round? Perhaps, Intermediate Profound Class 2 would not give them this chance. However, after experiencing two consecutive dark horses turning the tables, the spectators didn't dare to say who would be the true winner of the preliminary round. The gong was struck. Yun Duan looked at the direction of the waiting area. Now, will both classes please choose 10 students each to compete on stage? Intermediate Profound Class 2 made a substitution. Other than Xuanhuan Lioli and the 3 students who had the Profound Yin Qi, the other 6 were all changed. On the side of Devil Class there was also a change of members. Facing the students from Intermediate Profound Class 2 who had the Profound Yin Qi to increase their own strength. The other students in Devil Class had no ability to contend against them. Hence, Long Yunzhan, Qiao Jin, Yan Xiaoyi and the rest all went up on stage. Before going up on stage, Long Yunzhan walked to Kitty Li and whispered a few words into her ear. Kitty Li's originally unhappy expression from being rejected to go up on stage immediately shone. Her bright eyes blinked and she nodded her head vigorously. Long Yunzhan and the rest went up on stage. His peripheral vision kept looking at Kitty Li's direction. The surrounding people's attention were all focused on the 2 dark horse classes on stage. No one noticed that Kitty Li had already left the Devil Class silently. Until Kitty Li's breath completely disappeared, Long Yunzhan then slowly retracted his gaze. If Kitty Li went up on stage, there was indeed a chance to increase their chances of winning. But Kitty Li was after all not a student of Devil Class. The interclass competition this time was an extremely important competition to the Devil Class. It concerned their future and lives. There was no room for any mistakes. Hence, he chose to reject the preferential treatment given by the Academy from the start. Devil Class would rather use the method of pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger, to fight round after round of competition. And not because of the so-called preferential treatment, they won in the end and became a topic of ridicule. More importantly, he needed Kitty Li to do something. In the entire Devil Class, only Kitty Li could do it. On the arena, the students from both classes stood still. Yun Duan looked left and right and frowned. Why is there one person missing from the Devil Class? Yes, there were only 9 people from the Devil Class. A 10-man team competition and only 9 people from the Devil Class came up? Why are there only 9 people in Devil Class? Could it be that Devil Class doesn't dare to fight against Intermediate Profound Class 2, and none of them are willing to go up the stage, so there are only 9 of them? That's not right. If the students of Devil Class don't dare to participate in the competition, they wouldn't be sitting there quietly watching the competition, right? Look at the expressions of the Devil Class students. They're very calm. There's no sense of fear or an atmosphere of not daring to go up on stage. What is the Devil Class up to this time? Don't tell me it's another new trick from the Devil Class? The surrounding crowd was in a flurry of discussion, unable to comprehend the actions of the Devil Class. Devil Class against Low Profound Class 2, it was a battle that they would definitely lose. Unfortunately, Devil Class was missing one person to participate in the competition. Xuanhuan Lioli stood right at the front. She raised her head arrogantly and sneered in disdain. Devil Class Monitor, are you looking down on Intermediate Profound Class 2? Long Yunzhan looked at her calmly. The last position is reserved for Qing Luo. The entire crowd was silent. Chapter 1138. For Yi Qing Luo? Didn't Yi Qing Luo not appear at all? Don't tell me Devil Class is still hoping that Yi Qing Luo will lead them to victory? Stop joking. Today's competition is about to end and Yi Qing Luo hasn't even seen her shadow. She's obviously scared. Everyone felt that Devil Class's move was a joke. However, Long Yunzhan's expression remained unchanged as he remained indifferent. His azure blue eyes were emotionless as he stared at Yunzhan in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, as though he was infected by this pair of eyes. Yunzhan's tightly knitted brows slowly relaxed. He sighed softly. Are Devil Class students confirmed? Confirmed. Without any hesitation, the 9 of them answered in unison. Since both parties have no objections then, The competition officially begins. A gong rang, stirring up everyone's hearts. Xuanhuan was about to retreat when he saw Xuanhuan Luli raising her hand and shouted, "Wait a minute." Xuanhuan Luli placed her hands behind her back as she slowly took a step forward with an arrogant expression. 2 months ago, my intermediate class 2 and devil class had already agreed on a challenge for the interclass competition. The surrounding crowd remained silent. Moreover, I, Xuanhuan Luli, and student Yiqing Luo, have also agreed on a blood oath to win the interclass competition. This matter, there were quite a number of people present who knew about it. After all, when they were in King Ling's tomb, Yiqing Luo had agreed on a blood oath with Xuanhuan Luli in front of all the major forces. So the reason why the intermediate class 2 fought bravely was to carry out the blood oath with Yiqing Luo till the end? Today's battle, according to Heavenly Academy's rules, whoever wins will be able to enter the finals directly, and the losing class will participate in tomorrow's semi-finals. Xuanhuan Luli's lips curled up coldly as her eyes revealed an extremely cold intent. I, Xuanhuan Luli, can I represent the intermediate class 2 to make a request to the director? She cupped her fists and looked respectfully at the director. The director naturally knew about the profound yin qi in Xuanhuan Luli's body. Xuanhuan Luli's request was the master's order. He naturally had no objections. Please speak. In this battle, if the devil class loses, the devil class will be completely eliminated and will be disqualified from the interclass competition. Xuanhuan Luli said word by word. The onlookers were in an uproar. He was disqualified from the interclass competition. This also meant that devil class's interclass competition this year would stop at the 3rd round of the preliminary round. He didn't even have the qualifications to participate in the semifinals. Isn't this too much of a gamble? What if intermediate profound class 2 loses? Yan Xiaoyi suppressed the surging anger in her chest as she asked with a cold smile. Xuanhuan Luli smiled confidently. Intermediate profound class 2 will definitely not lose. Is that so? Yan Xiaoyi raised her eyebrows, her smile carrying a tinge of mockery. Devil class will definitely not lose. Xuanhuan Luli gritted her teeth. If intermediate profound class 2 loses this battle, then intermediate profound class 2 will be disqualified from the competition. Student Xuanhuan. In the intermediate profound class 2 waiting area, a few students suddenly stood up. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Losing in the preliminary round meant disqualification? How come they didn't know about this matter? Lu Xiaoyu couldn't control her temper as she stared angrily at Xuanhuan Luli. What right do you have to decide on the matters of intermediate profound class 2? Class monitor Xie didn't even say anything and you're already pointing your fingers here. Have you asked for the opinions of the students? Xuanhuan Luli slowly placed her gaze on Lu Xiaoyu. Chapter 1139. Was this considered as talking? Was this considered as discussing? This was obviously her own decision and she just casually told the students about it. The students in the intermediate profound class 2 started to feel conflicted. Although the reason why they were able to enter the 3rd round was mainly because of Xuanhuan Luli. But this didn't mean that they had to listen to Xuanhuan Luli's arrangements. This was not putting them in his eyes at all. I don't agree. What right do you have to represent the intermediate profound class 2 and bet the future of the intermediate profound class 2 on the preliminary round? Lu Xiaoyu bit her lower lip as her beautiful eyes turned red. Xuanhuan Luli arrogantly raised her chin as she looked at her in disdain. Based on the current me, I am the strongest person in the intermediate profound class 2. The strong were respected. No matter where it was the same. In the academy, in the class, it was the same. The reason why Xie Yan was able to become the intermediate profound class 2's class monitor was because his ability was indeed above all the students in the intermediate profound class 2 and he was resourceful. Now Xuanhuan Luli had already replaced Xie Yan's strongest position. Then, the intermediate profound class 2 should listen to her arrangements. As long as we don't acknowledge you as the strongest person in the intermediate profound class 2, you will never be able to replace class monitor Xie. Lu Xiaoyu argued with reason as she clenched her fists tightly. Xuanhuan Luli didn't bother about her as she looked directly at the director. What does director think? This. The director pretended to be in a difficult position as he looked towards devil class. The academy's interclass competition is to evaluate each class or student's overall ability. Everything is based on the students. If devil class has no objections, I naturally have no objections. Xuanhuan Luli's beautiful eyes were filled with disdain as she looked coldly at Long Yunzhan. Your devil class without Yiqing Luo is equivalent to a pool of dead water. Without her around, you don't have the guts to compete? Goading? Long Yunzhan's icy cold voice was devoid of emotions. Devil class's students weren't fools. Shangguan Lu Li's motive was obviously to expel Devil class out of the competition. As long as Devil class lost the right to compete, the final champion would definitely be the intermediate profound class 2. Which meant that Yiqing Luo and Shangguan Lu Li's blood oath bet, Yiqing Luo had lost. What awaited Yiqing Luo was the consequences of her meridians being broken and her profound jade heart being destroyed. And rejecting Shangguan Lu Li's request. If the Devil class entered the third round of the preliminary round, it would be considered as their loss. There was no way they could make a comeback in the semi-finals tomorrow and the finals the day after tomorrow. As long as Yiqing Luo returned. As long as they won first place, there was hope. How could they agree to Shangguan Liuli's request? General? You bunch of trash dare to call yourselves generals? Shangguan Liuli wildly laughed. Cowardly trash, this miss will properly teach you a lesson today. Profound chi burst out of his body. Powerful profound chi encircled her body. A powerful force that was strong enough to destroy the arena erupted with a rumble. If it wasn't for the fact that the barrier around them was strong enough, perhaps this profound energy could directly shatter the entire arena. Shangguan Liuli made her move. Long Yunzhan's expression turned serious as he shouted in a low voice, "Be careful." With a flip of his palm, a blue long sword appeared in his hand. The hilt of the sword spun a few times and was firmly held by him. The long sword flashed and flew straight toward Shangguan Liuli's face. The other students also began to attack. This time, Devil class didn't act like how they did previously, to deal with intermediate profound class 2. Instead, it was a battle of strength that conformed to the norm. Chapter 1140. They wanted to find the students of intermediate profound class 2 who had xianxia in their bodies in the shortest time possible. Test the opponent's profound grade and habits, then filter it in their minds and analyze the most suitable way to deal with the enemy. This was what Yiqing Luo had taught them. Know yourself and know your enemy, then you can win every battle. The ability to observe and analyze was crucial on the battlefield. But, very quickly, the Devil class students were sweating profusely as they were pushed back by the attacks with great difficulty. Extremely strenuous, extremely pathetic. Because they realized, the few students from the intermediate profound class 2 who were participating in the competition, all of them had profound yin chi in their bodies. Under the situation of hiding their profound grade, facing these students' aggressive attacks, every move aimed at their vital points, it was inevitable that the Devil class students would not be able to withstand it. Even so, the performance of the Devil class students stunned the onlookers. This was totally different from the Devil class who played dirty tricks and scurried around the stage. Although the profound grade was rather low. Although the attack was rather weak. But for the waste class to be able to achieve this level was already very good. Yes, very good. At least it was enough to match the strength of the low profound class. Intermediate profound class 2 is thinking. Dong Huanglang's usual smiling face was filled with worry as he tugged the sleeves of the man next to him. Jing, will Devil class? Yes. Qi Jing grabbed his hand with a calm face and indifferent tone. Yes. Dong Huanglang's pupils suddenly widened. Devil class cannot lose. Student Yi is not back yet. So what? Qi Jing glanced sideways, his cold gaze fell on him. Lang, this is the fate of Devil class. You are not a student of Devil class. Even if you want to help, you have the heart but not the power. Dong Huanglang pursed his lips. Intermediate profound class 2 obviously saw Devil class's teamwork ability. I always thought that Shangguan Luli was a stupid girl like a pig. I didn't expect that. She improved so quickly. Qi Jing's tone of praise was still that emotionless. Indeed, the entire Heavenly Academy, from the elders to the students and staff, they were all extremely curious about Shangguan Luli's change. Ever since Shangguan Luli entered the school, because she was not on good terms with Yiqing Luo, and her temperament was too arrogant. Most importantly, her brain wasn't working very well. But who would have thought that in just a few short months, Shangguan Liuli had not only changed from a young lady who couldn't even run a few laps during the freshman training, but had also become a powerful high-level profound practitioner. Furthermore, his mind was starting to shine. In the arena. Intermediate Profound Class 2 was entangled with Devil Class. The students of Intermediate Profound Class 2 had specially chosen a place. Directly fighting and chasing, he separated the 9 Devil Class students by a long distance. The teamwork of the devil class was simply too strong. He had to separate them and defeat them one by one. This was the tactic of intermediate profound class too. As long as they did not allow the students of the devil class to have the chance to cooperate with each other, devil class could only fall to the ground, raising the white flag and surrender trash. Xuanhuan Liuli's method was indeed effective. Just as the 9 of them pulled apart from each other, the devil class students obviously started to be unable to hold on any longer. He couldn't even dodge a simple punch. No one noticed that the 9 devil class students, before they were pulled apart from each other, exchanged glances. The corners of Xuanhuan Liuli's mouth curled up into a cold smile, and she retracted her gaze from those trash. She focused all her attention on the devil class monitor in front of her. This Long Yunzhan was indeed the class monitor of devil class. Chapter 1141. But the opponent was her. No matter how much ability Long Yunzhan had, he had to kneel down and beg for mercy. Xuanhuan Luli squinted her sinister eyes as she raised both her hands and drew a semicircle in midair. A wisp of black smoke appeared, and 2 double-edged daggers appeared in her hands. This weapon. It was the weapon of the dark forces. And it used an extremely heavy profound yin qi. Long Yunzhan's long sword flipped, and after forcing out a ray of blue light, he swiftly retreated. At the same time, Xuanhuan Luli held her dagger and stuck close to him. Long Yunzhan didn't manage to retreat too far, and his back was touched by an icy cold blade. His reaction was swift as he turned around and landed in the left corner. Looking back, he saw an intermediate profound class 2 student holding a broadsword, glaring at him with Yiqing Luo. Intermediate profound class 2 students, each entangled with a student, was enough. And the additional students were to cooperate with Xuanhuan Luli to subdue Long Yunzhan. You're indeed the class monitor of devil class, you have some skills. Xuanhuan Luli sneered, looks like that slut has trained you bunch of trash. Well, I thought you could end the battle quickly. Long Yunzhan didn't respond but squinted his azure blue eyes as he sized up that student. In just a few breaths, he had already wielded his sword and attacked that student. Xuanhuan Luli sneered in disdain as she flipped her dagger and blocked Long Yunzhan's sword qi. But this is interesting. What I like the most is to slowly torture my opponent to death. Today, if you don't admit defeat, I will not stop. Her tone was getting more and more vicious. It made one's hair stand on end when they heard that. The eerie smile had already twisted that delicate little face into a hideous, extremely terrifying sight. But unexpectedly, Long Yunzhan's long sword, which was originally thrusting towards that student, as it neared the intermediate profound class 2 student, a side sweep. It directly brushed past Xuanhuan Luli's dagger and slashed toward Xuanhuan Luli's abdomen. The continuous profound qi was like a raging wave, covering the sky and earth. It directly enveloped the both of them. The blue sword qi lingered and the sword ray pervaded. The surrounding air also followed the sword qi's attack. Xuanhuan Liuli's face turned green and she quickly dodged. No matter how fast he could not avoid being injured by Long Yunzhan's sword qi. That sword ray directly brushed past her clothes. A tear appeared on his greenish-white uniform. The torn cloth fell to the ground, revealing the traces of the red moon soil pouch. Even though the sword didn't cause any damage, it was still not enough. But this sword was an insult to Xuanhuan Liuli. She clenched her fists tightly, and her ruthless eyes flashed with intense hatred. Xuanhuan Liuli didn't care about the clothes that had been torn on her abdomen. She gripped her dagger tightly and flashed towards Long Yunzhan. The sharp double-edged dagger in his hand pressed against Long Yunzhan's neck. Devil class monitor. Xuanhuan Liuli clenched her teeth as she spat out these few words. The dagger in his hand had yet to slash across Long Yunzhan's neck. She saw that the person she had been entangled with had disappeared like a ghost in the blink of an eye. Her face instantly darkened. This class monitor of the devil class had actually embarrassed her twice. The current her was already a high-leveled profound practitioner of the earth profound realm. A piece of trash from the devil class had actually caused her to lose face time and time again. Good. Very good. She wanted to see what other abilities did this class monitor of the devil class have. She gave that intermediate profound class 2 student a look, and the both of them ran towards Long Yunzhan's direction at the same time. You're tuning in to the Sword Dance in the Vast Sky YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.